pew. What is up, everybody? It is happy hour. Happy hour. Welcome to Monk and Lou's Happy Hour right here on the MMA Engine channel. It's me, your boy Monk, aka at MonkMMATics on Twitter. It's your other boy Lou Betya at Lou Betya on Twitter. And guys, we're gonna be here breaking down, giving you the tips and plays for all fights, all 14 fights, UFC Vegas 60. Lou, what's going on, man? I'm looking forward to this card. There's some decent fights on here. What about yourself?
Looking forward to the card. I'm looking forward to not being hungover also after a few shows last night. And then,
yes.
Too old. One, eh? It's a young man's game, the YouTubes, man. It's a young man's game. And I ain't I'm 2 months away from being 45, man. I ain't no young man no more. I don't know how Weezy does it. I don't know how, I don't know how people in their 20s do it at this point. I don't remember how I do it so well, but I think it's a really good card. Last week I went pretty light. I didn't feel good about a lot of spots. This week I feel very good about a lot of spots in this card. One of the fights I did not feel good about either way has been canceled because Fatty Boom Balati could not make weight for like 20th time in a row. And I don't blame McMahon for not taking the fight. I feel bad for McMahon. Because I mean, at 41, I don't know how many does she have left? So
I mean, she's gonna be 42 in like 6 days.
I hope they cut Aspen Ladd. I can't imagine any woman on the roster would want to take a fight with her, knowing the shenanigans that happens. Like
unprofessional to the highest extent.
I mean, I get why she can't fight at 145. There's just no weight class there. I get it. She'd probably be better off just going to PFL and letting Kayla Harrison demolish her in 9 seconds.
Exactly.
So, can we answer this question in chat before we start?
Let's do it. Put it up there.
All right.
Here we go. I got you. Oh.
There we go. Go ahead. You go first on this one.
Oh, Jesus, man. See, I'm not a drinker. I don't drink, not because of any issues or anything. I just have an allergy, and so I'm the world's biggest lightweight, and it really messes me up really bad. Hangovers are awful the next day to the point where I have to call in sick to work. So I haven't drank in probably 5 years, maybe. I honestly don't know. I mean, I want to say I'm one of those drinks that has a nice little umbrella in it. It's all tropical, but we all know that's not true. I'm more probably like a I don't know, just straight Jägermeister half the time. Like it just messes you up and you don't want to actually drink it, but here we are.
This one is easy for me. I am old granddad because it's cheap, it's awful, it gets you fucked up.
There you go. There you go.
What's up, my dude? Couch Warrior. What's up, my man? All right, Monk.
Yeah, thanks everybody in chat for being here. Let's get started. We got 14 fights to cover in about an hour, 15 minutes to do it. First fight, actually, we have 13 fights now. First fight of the night, Nicholas Mata going against Cameron Van Camp. I'll start this one off. Both guys are 0-1 in the UFC. I guess this is this a size play here? We've got 5 inches different in height. Van Camp's going to be 5 inches taller, supposedly, according to UFC stats, which we all know is the most accurate height measuring system that we have.
The Wikipedia of stats.
Yeah, exactly. Cameron Van Camp, also a 4-inch reach advantage. These salaries are super wide. I don't understand how we're paying $9,300 for a guy who is 0-1, got KO'd by submission master Jim Miller. So I'm not really sure how that works. Mata scored 1.21 points per minute, allowed 4.36, and he's $800 over his previous salary, guys, in which he was a favorite against Jim Miller. Now we're here again, doubled down, making him a huge favorite against a guy that did get beat up in the first round against Andre Fiallo. He did have a couple of moments here and there, scored much better than Mata, almost 3 points a minute, but he gave up 6.5 in that fight. And this guy is also $200 Van Camp over his previous salary. So we have 2 rookies, both over their previous salary. I'm not really sure what to do here, which means it's probably a high variance fight. I'll probably have more Cameron Van Camp for the salary relief. But I mean, $9,300, I'll have a couple shares of Mata, but I just don't know how this fight shakes out. Maybe I'll listen to any insight that you have, because this one just does not do it for me. I mean, these guys have less than 10 total minutes of cage time between them. So I'll pick Cameron Van Camp and maybe a sneaky little DraftKings play, but this fight is probably going to be high owned just because these guys have gotten finished in their UFC fights. So I'm not really sure what to do. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is tricky for you. For me, it's kind of easy. I'm on the under. I have a 5-leg round robin, which I gave out last night on Eric's show, but I'll be going over it I'll tell you each of the steps. But For you, those of you guys who don't know what a round robin is, I have discussed them before, but 5-leg round robin is essentially 26 bets. It's 10 2-teamers, it's 10 3-teamers, it's 5 4-teamers, and a 5-teamer. I actually didn't even put the 5-teamer in for this because it didn't pay that great because it's all juice, but it's all time props. And this is number one. Now, I wanted to see what Van Camp looked like on the scale because it's the first time he's fighting at 155, moving down. Looked all right to me. He's the bigger dude. Neither one of them, to me, on the UFC level has looked particularly good, but Mata's tape is way better. But I'm not getting to him at almost 2-1 on this card. So one thing I'll say about Mata is he's decent at grappling, but he's not proactive at it. Whereas I think Van Camp can be proactive here. I think they may negate each other. On the feet, Mata's not a one-punch power guy, but he's volume. And I think Van Camp's chin kind of blows. So I do think Mata can kind of wear him out. So if you're going to play Mata, you can play him. The DraftKings has round 1, round 2 combo, and it's plus 145. I don't hate that, but I'm just going to stick with the under. Start off my day with hopefully an easy win. And but Van Camp, the line is a little bit wide for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially with what we saw out of both of these guys' last fight, so should be a little closer, but it is what it is. Next fight, here's one I am super excited for, and we'll let you kick this one off. Tony Gravely going against Javeed Basharat. What do you think about this one? Are you a Basharat boy or a Gravely guy?
Okay, am I a Basharat guy? Yes, I'm like a humongous fan of his skill set. Manages distance really well. I think his submission game is good. He's untested. Oren Kalin is not very good. That's a dude he smoked in the Contender Series. Whereas with Gravely, I mean, this dude is like a walking disaster in terms of like he looks great till he don't.
Yeah.
So I am not betting this fight because I'm going to be rooting for Javeed Basharat, but objectively the play is Gravely at this price. I think you have to Gravely at plus 140 is the only way to play this. I did give out the Basharat round 2 and round 3 submission props yesterday, which I like. I do think like as the fight goes on, Basharat is very live for a sub. But I think Gravely can do enough. On the feet, he's going to have more power, but he's not a big, his kicks aren't going to be like, it's just Basharat's going to be the one with the kicks, Basharat or Gravely with the punches. On the ground, honest to God, it just matters who gets on top because Gravely on top is a problem for Basharat here.
Yeah.
I don't know that Basharat is the same level of problem on top as Gravely is, but I'm gonna say Gravely wins. I'm gonna root for Basharat as a fan.
Nice.
No bet, but no bet.
I don't mind that at all. For DFS, I'm going to have to agree with you and be on the Tony Gravely side. His upside for DraftKings is ridiculous. 5.24 a minute, 110 when he wins over 4 UFC wins. Meanwhile, Basharat in his one and only UFC fight against Trevin Jones scored only less than 2.5 points a minute and 65 in that win. So very low numbers there. We get him at $1,000 over Tony Gravely's salary this week. I mean, Gravely does allow a ton of points as well, so that is an issue. But he's, one of the highest DraftKings scorers on the card, and he's $1,200 under his average salary, guys. That means you have to get him in there. This fight as a whole is very under leveraged for DraftKings, about 8%. So get both of these guys in your lineup because I think one of them has a good chance of making the optimal lineup, especially Tony Gravely. If either one of them finish here, I'm expecting triple-digit points. But yeah, I like the Gravely side. I'm getting a bit of salary relief here, and he is the one that has made the optimal lineup in 2 out of his past 4 fights. So I'll be on that side huge. I mean, against Munoz, I mean, he landed one of the shortest KO punches of all time. He ran over Simon Oliveira. So obviously Basharat probably better than both of those guys. So we will see how this one pans out. But Gravely is probably the best competition that Basharat has faced as well. So I'm very excited for this one. Like I said, I think the winner makes the optimal. And I'll have probably more Gravely than Basharat, but definitely will have both in my lineups. Okay, this one is still on. Next fight, we have, Wild Woman from all accounts, Maria Agapeva going against Jillian Robertson, who surprisingly, stat of the week this week, Jillian Robertson, only 27 years old. Can you believe that? She has 12 UFC fights, guys, and she's only 27 years old. What have you got? Actually, I'll start this one. I like the Robertson side here. Agapeva has shown not great takedown defense. She gives up a ton of points in takedowns and control time. Yeah, 42.86% takedown defense. Jillian should be able to get a few takedowns here and get a submission, in my opinion. first or second round would be huge. Would be a very sneaky play, and I will be over the field on Jillian Robertson. I mean, Agapeva was subbed by Moroz. She was KO'd by Shayna Dobson, guys. She is like 4-5 professionally, not a great fighter, and she got KO'd in the second round. She also got taken down twice by Shayna Dobson, taken down twice by Marina Moroz. So I think Jillian Robertson here is a good play to get a takedown, get tons of control time. So if she's not able to, rinse and repeat takedowns, the tons of control time is definitely going to help. Maybe she can work her way into a submission position and get an early finish over Agapeva. But the only thing Agapeva has is she scores very, very well. 4.5 points a minute, 103 when she wins, but she gives up 105 per loss. She's only 2-2 in the UFC, and she's just a bit. I can't put a pin in what kind of fighter she is exactly. So for that reason, I'm going with the more consistent fighter, Jillian Robertson, to pick for the win and in DraftKings. So this is another great fight to target for DraftKings. I love the Robertson side here at women's flyweight. What about you?
I think Agapeva can be. Not only is she the woman of my dreams, but she can be best summed up as good hammer and a horrible nail. The fights that she's done well in, it's just domination. I don't think she battles through adversity well. I mean, Moroz was winning that fight within 9 seconds, and it was done. Dobson, I mean, was one of the biggest upsets statistically in the history of the UFC. She just couldn't get anything going in the first minute.
Wasn't she like minus over 1,000?
Yeah, I mean, Dobson I think was plus 900. I mean, she just wilted. So if Robertson gets her down within the first minute of this fight, Robertson probably gets a sub. I played the under as opposed to playing Robertson in the distance because I still can't get it out of my head how bad Robertson looked against JJ Aldrich. Like she could not take her down. True. And Aldrich is not big. She's not a super great athlete. This is not a knock on Aldrich. Like she's kind of like a mediocre at everything. Robertson should have been able to take her down, and she couldn't. So if Robertson couldn't take Aldrich down and just stayed on the feet for 50 minutes, I don't like that strategy here. I mean, she'll get smoked. So give me the under as the play. It's minus 165 for 2.5. DraftKings is showing under 1.5. I don't want to. I'd rather have the extra round here and pay a little bit more. But if Robertson cannot get her down in the first round, Agapeva is crazy live as a live bet. So just take a look out for that, but sticking with the under for this one and rooting for my homegirl, Maria Agapeva.
There we go. Next fight, another battle of some newcomers here. Trey Ogden, 0-1 in the UFC, going against Daniel Zellhuber, who has no UFC fights, but did win his Dana White Contender Series fight pretty handily, actually, over Lucas Almeida, scored 87 points in that fight. I don't have much of anything to go on here. The strength of schedule is pretty bad for both guys in their last 5, right around a 62% win rate of their last 5 opponents. So Trey Ogden getting that 15-minute loss to Jordan Levitt. It was a pretty close fight for a newcomer going against a guy that's been in the UFC for a while. I mean, he did score 47, before the bonuses. These guys both were at 48 DraftKings points between Levitt and Ogden. So Ogden did do a little bit here. I don't know much about Zellhuber's game. That's the issue for me. The line is probably wide for a newcomer going against, someone that went 15 minutes with an actual UFC fighter. So I assume that it's a little bit wide here. But like I said, I didn't watch Zellhuber's DWCS fight. I need to do that before I make my lineups, obviously. But I'm just not too interested in this fight. It's going to have a high ownership percentage on DraftKings, mainly on the Zellhuber side, because he's just such a high salary that people just flock to those high salaries. They think that it's pretty much a guaranteed win, blah blah blah. But if Ogden can at least make this fight go 15 minutes, I think neither one of them is going to make the optimal lineup. So I'll probably be fading it a little bit, hoping for like a 60, 70, 80 point win from either side and just moving on from there. What do you think about this one? Is Zellhuber anything that I should be rostering in this spot?
I think he's going to dominate.
Oh, okay.
Trey Ogden. I think he's going to win by KO. It's plus 130.
Oh, shit.
I'm just going to play in the distance, and the distance is plus 110. So I'd rather I'll sacrifice the 20 cents here in case a freak submission happens. But Ogden did nothing impressive to me against Levitt. Right. Levitt is not some finisher. I mean, like Levitt's big win in the UFC was Matt Sales, who was like off a major layoff, a major injury, and like a horrible game plan. Ogden was getting outlanded in strikes by Jordan Levitt, which is a horrible, horrible look. There was no grappling. I mean, the line's wide. Zellhuber, this kid is a stud. He's got a lot of talent. He's got fast hands. He's going to be way too much for Ogden. Ground game is not horrible, but I cannot see this fight going to the ground. If Ogden takes him to the ground, I don't like his odds down there, but every second this fight's on the feet, Ogden is live to get just absolutely murdered. So Zellhuber in the distance. The line's wide. I get it, but I think that this kid's the real deal. And that Lucas Almeida fight is a absolutely great fight from last season.
Yeah. I was not too, or a little bit impressed with Almeida in his UFC fight here. So we will, maybe I'll get him in a few extra lineups then, if he's got that much
Soldier
of a KO.
Soldier Boy is a good nickname, or Golden Boy. I mean, is a good nickname.
Let's say Soldier Boy.
Soldier Boy.
Superman that hoe.
But we don't have to worry about the lad fight now.
That's true. We are, unfortunately, we do have to worry about this one. Loma Lookboonmee going against Denise Gomez, $9,500 for Loma Lookboonmee.
Unbelievable.
I mean, everyone's saying you cannot roster her. I tend to agree with that, but then that's when she's going to hit Denise. She's going to tie throw Denise Gomes like 14 times. In a 3-round decision, and she's going to put up she's going to land 45 takedowns and a super boring fight, but she's going to score over 100 points and make optimal. So I don't know what to do here for DraftKings. I think her ownership is probably less than 10%, so it would be very easy to go over that by a little bit. And maybe the same with Denise Gomez. In fact, I think Gomez is probably higher owned than Lookboonmee here, to be completely honest. So I think Lookboonmee is going to run through her. The $9,500 salary has a 90% win rate. So that we have that going for us here, but neither one, scores well historically. So give me Loma Lookboonmee to win, but I am not interested in putting either of these fighters in my lineups, especially in 20 maxes. I don't even see how that's going to be possible. So give me Lookboonmee for the win, but I don't like this for DraftKings at all. What do you think about this one?
I would think if you're going to do anything for DraftKings, you'd play the Gomez side for salary.
You'd have to. Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's going to get finished. I think in a loss, she could get some takedowns and maybe get you 30-some points in a loss. I don't think she's a terrible play here. From a betting perspective, I didn't love her Contender Series fight against Amanda. It wasn't great. It wasn't impressive. I don't think she's UFC caliber. And Lookboonmee is just never really kind of wowed me here. I think she's all right. I think if this fight hits the ground, Lookboonmee could be in trouble. Their takedown defense looks like it's gotten better and better every fight. So the pick for the show is Lookboonmee. I'm not betting it. If you're going to bet it, you'd have to play Gomes here.
Yeah,
you have to. At the price, I just don't think Lookboonmee should be that big of a favorite over anybody. But total pass for me here. I was looking forward to having a 2-fight break with this and the Aspen Ladd fight to go out and go get a couple of beers and come back home. And it's they took that from me. So yeah. But also, I'm actually curious now because they canceled the fight. So it's slated for 4 p.m. Eastern, but there were 14 fights. I feel like they won't move the start time, but just guys, keep your eyes out for that. A lot of times, you'll get that half an hour movement. Like I said, I don't think they'll do it with 13 fights. I feel like they'll keep the start time the same, but we'll see. Just keep your eyes peeled for that.
This has to be the shortest fight in history, 5'1" against 5'2". And Lookboonmee, it should be noted, has one finished win in her entire pro career, none in the UFC. So hoping this one goes the distance and I don't have to worry about it for DraftKings.
You think 10% on Loma, and I would be shocked if she even hit 5%.
Yeah.
At that price.
Right.
She's no finishing upside here. I don't know what her ceiling is. 75 maybe.
Yeah.
She has no grappling upside. It's just strikes. Nope. And if she gets taken down, there goes around the points. You know what I mean? So if she's owned by 5%, I know Marley and you, we talk about this is the guys that break the slate. This is not a slate breaking. Gomes with a first round submission could break the slate.
Oh yeah, that would be insane.
Lookboonmee has no chance to break the slate here.
Yep. And you might as well go after Pfeiffer or Zellhuber at 7,400, Mata at 9,400, 9,300 for Mata, something like that. She's surrounded by actual DFS contenders, so it's not. It would be very difficult to get to her. So then we skip the Aspen big old lad fight, and we go to Trevin Giles going against Luis Kosuke. Giles, another very, very wide line, but probably about right, honestly. $9,100 for Giles. Actually, why don't you start this one off? What do you got between Giles and one of the Kosuke brothers here.
So this would be leg 3 in the 5-leg round robin of unders. I have under 2.5 here, minus 165. Kosei, I'm not super impressed with anything I've seen from him, even the regional tape. Giles, I'm not impressed with him at all, and he is coming off 2 knockouts in his last 2 losses. I have a prop bet on this as well. I went Kosuke round 1 KO. It's 9-1. I feel like that's Kosei's winning condition here. I mean, against Sasha, his fight against Platnikov was, he was gassed after 5 minutes.
Yep.
I think it's Kosei round 1 or it's Giles round 2. I don't see really another outcome here. Giles has had 7 or 8 months off though from his last fight. So like when he fought Morales, he was 4 months removed from getting KO'd. We always talk about that. Like you want to see at least 6 months as a healing process. So he's taken that now, but still now it's a mental issue. Like he's been knocked out his last 2 fights. And the last one was in like 2 minutes and rather violently. Yep. So you wonder if that's in the back of his head. With Kosei, I think the game plan is really simple. He's going to bum rush him and just throw a lot of punches until he gasses. So I Kosei round 1 very live at 9-1 for round 1. Even his KO prop's not bad. It's like I think it's +2. I have it up here. Hold on. Let's tell you what DraftKings has it at. Kosei KO is +400, which I think is a fantastic price. And then, there's one more I want to look up here too. I wonder what Kosei rounds 1 and 2 is. It's +425. So it's actually a little better than the KO. Wow. And I don't think Kosei has any goddamn prayer to win this fight in the 3rd.
No.
So I don't hate that as a little pivot, the round 1, round 2. I like the round 1 KO, like I said. I wouldn't straight bet the fight. I mean, if you're going to bet somebody, take the finish prop or just do what I did and take the under. But I think this is going to be a super exciting fight. And Kosei's salary is what? What is he at here?
71.
He's got to be one of those dudes. I mean, not in cash, but he's a GPP winner. If he wins the fight, he's probably getting 110 points. He does have some grappling upside too. Like, I don't want to take that away from. Like, he's going to get a takedown and probably ground and pound. Like, I think he's live for a couple different options here, but he could score in a win. I think he scores. I think whoever wins scores well, but Kosei at that price could easily get 110 points for you. What do you think?
Which would be gigantic. I mean, at 7,100, that's pretty much a guarantee.
Yeah, Giles is not lineup. Officer, or as our guys Marsha and Ozzy call him,
Officer Giles. Yeah,
not so great anymore.
No, yeah, coming off those 2 knockouts too. I mean, 9,100 is a lot to be asking for that. Guy scores 2.5 points a minute, 85 per win. I mean, I'm going to have to agree with you here, Lou. Kosuke putting up 4.65 a minute, allowing a ton in his one UFC fight, but he is $2,200 under his previous salary. He came into apparently the Sasha Platnikov at $9,300. That's insane for a UFC debutant here. I mean, we're seeing it with Zellhuber, I guess, this week, so it can't be that insane. Giles on the other side, 700 over his average. One thing I do want to bring up here, the strength of schedule is just in a different galaxy between these two. Giles, 80% win rate, 76 strength of schedule, 80% win rate for his opponents, rather, in his last 5. Kosuke, his last 5 opponents' win rate is 38%. He's got a 46 strength of schedule. These are out of 100.
Well, he's fighting.
So these are very bad.
Absolute. He's fighting absolute.
So yeah, he hasn't fought anyone. Meanwhile, Giles has lost to Duplessis and Morales. 2 losses that are aging well. Both those guys, I don't think have lost since they fought him. And he did beat Roman Dolidze. Say what you will about Roman. I think he's a decent fighter, and that is Giles' best win by far in the UFC. I'm with you though 100%. I'm going to be rostering Kosuke at $7,100. He's one of the only low end guys that I actually like, right around Sonia Dong type of salary area. So give me Kosuke for the early win. That would be gigantic if he gets that done. Giles, on the other hand, is going to have to put up, well over 100 points to be considered for the optimal lineup this week, especially with this many fights. His average is only 85, so I'm not really expecting a ton.
He needs an early knockout. I mean,
he needs an early knockout.
KO to pay off his
and
numbers.
If Kosuke is anything like his brother, he's could hang in there, even getting rocked. So
they're literally the exact kind of same fighter.
And I heard Lewis is better, isn't he?
I mean,
come on,
debatable. Look what you're comparing here.
That's true. That is true. So yeah, give me Kosuke for the huge DraftKings upside. We will keep it moving. This is a fight that I do find very intriguing here. Damon Jackson going against Pat Sabatini. I'll start this one off. I'm on the Pat Sabatini side. I don't mind paying $9,000 for him. I mean, the guy is a tremendous scorer, 4.36 points a minute, 96 per win. He's going, he's 4-0 in the UFC, beaten, with big wins, unanimous decision wins over Laramie, Lutz, Connolly. He did finish Emmers in the first round by submission. Meanwhile, Jackson is on a nice little run himself, beating Argueta, Kirk, and Rosa. That Rosa fight was a bit closer, or Argueta fight was a bit more closer than we wanted.
Yeah.
Damon Jackson was $9,500 and he scored not even 80 points in that fight. So that was a big L for us DraftKings boys who had the $9,500 salary that week. But I like Sabatini. I think this one's going to go one of two ways. Sabatini's going to overpower him if they get to the ground, and he'll just sit on top and rack up control time points and maybe even find a sub, or these two grapplers are going to make this a stand-up fight, in which case I think Sabatini's hands are better than Jackson. I think he's got, better striking. So I will be on the Sabatini side, even in a stand-up fight. I'm hoping that's not what happens, because I want a ton of points out of Sabatini here. A few takedowns, tons of control time, and maybe even a submission finish. But Damon Jackson is a tough son of a bitch. That cannot be argued. And he's only 7,200 this week, a huge salary differential here. So I got to have some Damon Jackson in my lineup as well. But I really love Pat Sabatini. I'll have much more of him in my lineups, and I am picking him to win. Both of these guys have made optimal in their previous few fights. So I love this fight from a DraftKings point, and just from a fan point. What do you think about any certain ways to bet this one?
Well, you know who I'm rooting for here.
Yeah, of course.
That's obvious. I'm on the Sabatini side. I mean, the gym's still undefeated.
The gym is undefeated, exactly.
So I can't go against it. I just don't love the price here, because
it's a lot.
And Damon Jackson's been very good to me, gambling-wise. Very good to me historically.
Mm-hmm.
If this thing hits the ground, I don't think Sabatini has a massive advantage. I think he has an advantage, but I don't think it's massive. And Jackson's a dog, man. Jackson's tough for all 15 minutes. Like, so the thing is I don't think there's a cardio edge here. I don't think there's a huge grappling edge, but it favors Sabatini. On the feet, they're both not great. I mean, you're saying Sabatini has an edge on the feet. Maybe, but it's like, but it's not like pronounced. I mean, I don't think either one really wants to be there. I'd be curious if this thing went 15 minutes to stand up, how weirdly ugly this fight could look. But I'm no bet on this fight. I think the price is probably a little wide, to be completely honest, for this fight. I think it might be a recency bias with how Jackson looked against Argueta, because he kind of looked weirdly tired. I mean, but traditionally he has not been a gasser. I mean, look at the Bektic fight. Like, he's getting his ass kicked, and he looked great in the third round in terms of like his stamina. So I think
Rosa, he looked good after
he looked fine
up in the third round.
I mean, he was in control of that fight for 14 minutes. Like, Rosa landed the elbow. Jackson wasn't even hurt. Like, he even said afterwards, he's like, I didn't realize I was bleeding until like 20 seconds later. Like, he never felt like he was hurt. But I think that I lean Sabatini to win the fight. So for the show's pick, I pick Pat Sabatini. I just can't get with this price.
Yeah, I agree. We will talk about this one later, Uncertainty, but spoiler alert, I'm leaning the guy in the main event this week for one of the best performers on the card, honestly.
What's his salary?
92.
Yeah, so
for Sandhagen, so it's not terrible.
Okay.
Pretty, compared to the $9,700 Piper, who we'll get to as well. But anyways,
let me just answer this. This is in fact the lowest I believe that he has ever been. And Nascimento, when we get to that fight, Nascimento's at like 261, 262.
Jesus.
And like when we get to that fight, I'm gonna talk about that. But I did see Bozer's weight, and I was kind of stunned how low he came in.
Nascimento's gonna fucking gas after 2 minutes if that's the case.
Well, I don't know, but it's an interesting. It was interesting that it's a huge weight difference.
Yeah, 40 or 30 pounds plus.
But we just had a situation like that, which I'll get to when we get to that fight.
That's true. Next one, we'll start out with this one first, though. Another one that I'm probably going to be targeting almost more than any other fight besides the main event. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez going against Marc-Andre Barrio. Why don't you go ahead and start this one off?
So I am very much looking forward to this one, and I am going to be on the Marc-Andre Barrio side. I need to preface it, like I have told you earlier today, I have never picked the Barriault fight correctly. I'm 0 for Barriault, picking against him. I picked fight goes the distance against Cheaty.
Oops.
Since we did the show, and that was over in 12 seconds. And then I picked him by decision his last fight, and he won by submission in like a minute. So I can't figure this fucking guy out. Here's what I know about this fight. I am not super impressed with Fluffy like some other people are. The Vieira win is looking worse and worse in retrospect because Vieira is incredibly limited and he's a gasser. Against Josh Fremd, who came in on like 3 days' notice, I mean, Hernandez, like, yeah, it was a unanimous win, but he didn't look great. He couldn't get a finish, and Fremd made him tired.
That's true.
So what do I know about Barriault? His takedown defense is not splendid. It's not good.
Right.
But on the feet, not only is he going to have a huge advantage, he's going to be the stronger guy. And one thing I like about Barriault a lot is Barriault, as somebody who's like, I mean, I'm an old school boxing fan. Barriault is one of the few dudes that really loves body shots, like almost more than anybody else. If you've watched some of Hernandez's fights, he's kind of wilted when you work his body. So I like the Barriault side here a lot. And like the one thing we know about Barriault also is his cardio is not an issue. Dude's gonna be all right in the third round. I actually, if you want to make a fun play here, I think the draw is totally live here in that Hernandez could win the first 2 rounds 10-9 by blanketing him, and Barriault could have like some big ass third round and almost get Hernandez out of there. I honest to God believe the draw is very live for this one, but I like the Barriault price here. I think the price is wrong. The price is wrong, bitch. Right. I think the price is wrong. I think Barriault should be probably closer to even money. I get the grappling upside. I get it. And like, I know for you, when you talk on your side, I don't think Barriault's a very good DK player because of his style. Because they don't win, he might get 75. Like, he'll pay off his salary, maybe. But I don't know. I don't know if he maybe he 10X's at best. But I just feel like as this fight gets taken over, and also I'm going to live bet him after the first round. I believe I'm going to get probably plus 350 on him, maybe better after round 1. So I'm betting him pre-fight. I'm betting him after round 1, unless he took like an insane amount of damage. If he just lost the round, that's fine. If he took damage, I may not. But like, I don't know, man. I can see Barriault kind of hanging and outlasting him. So give me Barriault at the price. And a fight that I think should be closer to, he should probably be plus 110, plus 120.
Yeah, that's not a bad look. Yeah, for DraftKings, he actually doesn't score too poorly. 104 on average over his 3 UFC wins. I mean, he did finish, like you said, Jordan Wright very quickly in like 2.5 minutes, but he only scored 101 points in that one. The one fight that is, bringing him up is 132 over Abu Azatar, who he KO'd with like 14 seconds left in the third round. So that was a very good performance. Since then, not performed too well. In fact, against Dalcha, he scored only 80 points. Hernandez on the other side, one of the more prolific DraftKings scores on this card, almost 5 points a minute, 115 per win over his 3 wins, gives up a ton of points as well. So both these guys giving up points. I love this fight for DraftKings. We've got a few optimal lineup makers here, and let's see what we can go into this sheet right here. My odds on optimal. Where is this fight? This is my 4th best fight to target. These guys have, let's see, 6 fights in their past 6 fights total. 4, either them or their opponents, have made the optimal lineup. A ton of finish wins, a few first round finish wins as well. So give me this fight as a whole to target, but I do like the Fluffy Hernandez side. I'm hoping that he'll be able to rinse and repeat takedowns, and if not, just bank some control time there round to round. That is the way that he's gonna, that's how he's been scoring well, and he'll continue to score well. He scores 2.64 points a minute in takedowns and control time. Meanwhile, Barriault is allowing 1.17 points in those categories. So not great numbers for Barriault there. If he can stop takedowns, I expect Hernandez to not score well. But if he can't stop any takedowns or control time or get up, I think Hernandez is going to roll him here. 3-round decision could score well. A submission would score even better. And I just like the overall DraftKings upside of Fluffy Hernandez. Hopefully he can keep it going here and, score well against Barriault. I'll probably have some Barrio as well because, obviously he does score decently in his wins other than that Dolce fight. But overall, I just think I'm going to be on the Hernandez side, I think, for that one. Next fight, it's a heavyweight fight that we did just mention. Tanner Boser.
Very interesting.
229 pounds going against Rodrigo Nascimento here. I'll go ahead and start this one off. I'm probably going to be on a bit of both sides here. I like Boser to win ultimately. He does not generally score well in DraftKings, only 2 points a minute, but he has the best defensive pace on the card. He allows 1.35 a minute and only 54.5 per loss. He's got 3 UFC losses. He is not giving up any kind of points. So that automatically has me fading Nascimento a little bit. Plus, Boser, I know, is a tough guy. He's got okay cardio, especially coming in at this weight. It should be even better. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to gas Nascimento out after the first round and then finish this fight, to be completely honest. So I do like the Boser side. I like the Nascimento side a little bit just because he is a specialist, it seems like. Tanner Boser has never been subbed in the UFC or professionally. Nascimento also scoring, 4 points a minute. His defensive pace is the exact opposite of Boser. He allows 5 a minute, and 141 is what he gave up in his loss to Chris Daukaus. So yeah, basically
that's a first minute finish. That's a
first minute finish with a couple of knockdowns as well. 2 knockdowns. I mean, it was bad. So I'm not expecting that to happen here, but if it does, I will be prepared for it. I'll probably be over on this fight as a whole than the field. But the pick here for me is Tanner Boser, hopefully inside the distance at $8,800 to pay off that salary. What do you got as far as any lines sticking out?
I'm on the other side of this, man. I think Nascimento can be a slate breaker here at this price. I think his ceiling is tremendous. That weight advantage is massive.
Yeah, that's going to be big.
And Boser's takedown defense is not great. He hasn't been subbed because he's not facing guys that go for submissions.
True.
I mean, he's not. Like, you look at Nascimento, like, I know they overturned the Badeau fight, and I was on Nascimento pretty big. That opened the card. I think that might have been the fight card that I almost took the 100K with Billy Q scoring like 9,000 points against Mugli.
Oh yeah.
I think it was that, like, I was kind of weird. That card only had like 10 fights, but I had like Nascimento and I had Malcolm the Iron Chin Gordon to beat Figgy because I needed salary relief. And he scored like 80 in a decision win. And I'm like, I got a shot at this because Nascimento scored pretty well too, but he was like pretty highly priced. But if you look at the Badeau fight, like, he struggled a little bit early because he went for a takedown and Badeau kind of landed on him. But Badeau's a big dude. And Nascimento actually came in that fight at like 248. I think he was undersized compared to Badeau. But as soon as he chucked Badeau off and we started dominating him, I can't, like, when I look at the Boser Latifi fight, first of all, I have a Yambags bet in this because Boser did grab the cage against Latifi.
Yep.
I think if Nascimento takes him down, which it's got to be the strategy early, he can hold him down. He's heavy on top, and he's going to have such a huge weight advantage that, like, I'm not even worried about Nascimento gassing as much. And I've just never really been impressed with Boser. He's kind of like just there.
I was at first, but yeah, not so much anymore.
So the time props are kind of out of hand. Like, I see Raw Torque saying over 1.5 minus 120. If it goes over 1.5, then I think Boser probably is winning. At that point, he's probably taken over. I think Nascimento is super live for a first round sub. I really do. So Nascimento in the distance is plus 210. I already have a pop on that. And I'm going to play Nascimento straight up. I can't trust Tanner Boser. Ironically enough, I want to end on this one. We did see a fight like this about 2 weeks ago, but it was short notice. So it was Jimmy Lawson, alleged Penn State wrestler Jimmy Lawson on the Contender Series. I say alleged because I watched that fight and I'm shocked that he was in the same wrestling room as Bo Nickel. And he fought Carl Williams, who came in on short notice and who was a light heavyweight that had moved up. And Lawson had a 40-pound weight advantage. And I'm like, all he's got to do is take him down and he can lay on him and really gas this dude down on short notice. He just could not. He had no takedowns. Williams took him down immediately. I just don't see Boser. Boser's going to try to keep this on the feet. And I don't think Boser's he's a volume puncher more than anything else. I mean,
yep.
If you're going to play Boser, this Boser decision would be kind of interesting. Even at heavyweight, it's dicey I never like doing those unless it's like Tybura against Romanov where I had a decision prop and I loved it. But like, I think Nascimento is kind of kill or be killed. I think Nascimento can sub him in the first round, man. I really
that
do.
would be huge.
And at his salary, this is another one of these things like for DraftKings where I wouldn't play either guy in a cash lineup.
Mm-hmm.
But Nascimento can win you a tournament. He can score 110, and unlike who's the other guy I had it? Unlike Kosei, Nascimento has like could go into the second round and have 3-4 takedowns at that point, tons of control time. Like he could rack up a ton of points. He's not KO dependent. Even in a decision, he could rack up a shitload of points if he's dominating on the ground. So I think he is a total slate breaker if his win condition hits.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is not being on the feet.
Yep. Like I said, this is going to be another one of my higher owned fights for sure.
Torque says Bose was very underwhelming. I couldn't agree more. He was very underwhelming against Orlovsky. I mean, I've never seen a Boser fight where I came away like, this guy is impressive. Like, I don't know, man. I mean, he's, I don't want to mock my neighbors to the north, but it's not been really good for a lot of Canadian fighters lately. Jourdain, Dawodu, like, hey, man, by the way, I have to mention this. I was huge on the Juicy J side last week. I told all of you, Juicy motherfucking J was going to get it done. And he had some awesome quote. He's like, I was never worried. If he couldn't beat the scale, how is he going to beat Juicy J? He spoke in third person. I goddamn love Juicy J, man. Like, I love watching that guy fight. Like, the Steven Peterson fight I talked about last week, that Steven Peterson fight is still, it's not going to be fight of the year. But that is one of like the best fights that we've had this year.
Oh man, that was
it just didn't have high stakes. It just didn't have high stakes. But one of the best fights we've had a chance to watch this year. Probably the best low stakes or no stakes fight that they've had.
Oh yeah, I remember I was at the bowling alley with my kids, and they kept having to yell at me because it was my turn because I was just watching the fight on my phone the whole time.
And I had Peterson split decision at like plus 1,400 odds.
Oh my God.
I was losing my mind when they put the split screen up there. I'm like, oh my God, I got a chance here. And I thought Peterson, I think Arosa won the fight, but you get like,
so do I.
You get the rose colored glasses and do we have to talk about this next fight?
I wish we didn't.
Can I just say Pfeiffer by absolute violence and that BetMGM's a bunch of assholes because they had a bad lineup. If you scrolled down, they had Pfeiffer by KO plus 600. I'm like, oh my God.
What?
So I deposited, I threw $200 of BetMGM. Like it's just what I had on hand. I'm like, I'm going to just fucking dump the whole thing on this one bet. And as soon as I went to bet it, they're like, market closed. Like, God damn it. Kristen's right. The aggression comes out in winter. I mean, it's almost,
that's why we never hear about it.
It's almost hockey season. So
that's true.
We're about a month away, I believe, from the Flyers losing their first 15, 20 games. So anyway, Pfeiffer by like absolute. I do appreciate that Amadovsky weighed in heavy, went back, lost a pound. I do.
Did he end up making it?
Yeah, he did. He came in at 185.5. So like he said nobody's taking my money. So look, man. This is probably his last fight in the UFC.
It fucking better be.
You have to think this is his last fight. So look, I appreciate that at least he did it. Like he's good. He's marching to his grave.
Yeah.
But and look, it's not like Pfeiffer's some world beater. Like this bet is against Amadovsky more than it's on
exactly
Joe Pfeiffer. But another Philly guy. Still got one other Philly guy we're going to talk about in this card. But give me Pfeiffer. I mean, I would say this: if you're going to bet. The under 1.5 was minus 185. Pfeiffer in the distance is like minus 250. Pfeiffer, my favorite bet that I think I showed you yesterday or I tweeted about, Pfeiffer to win and under 1.5 is minus 190. Somehow you get better odds for the under 1.5 than you do for Pfeiffer and the under 1.5. It just means somebody hit that bet pretty big. But give me, I mean, I see like Jesse's talking about the that's the BetMGM. Yeah, I maybe Juicy, you might have been the one in Wheezy's chat that was talking about that line. So I think that's where I went to hit it, and the line had vanished by the time I went to go nail it.
Damn, that would have been ridiculous.
Well, like BetMGM, they don't do it for every fight, but what they do is they'll have something like exact method of victory on the bottom. And by exact, they're talking about like actual submission holds. So you'll have like fighter win by KO, and then like by twister, like by calf slicer. Like seriously, like they list like every goddamn submission hold. And typically that KO number is supposed to be the same one as they have up top, but it wasn't. It was off. And I went to go nail it, and they're like, nope, Motherfuckers. I seriously was like debating like just borrowing money. Being like, dude, just give me like throw $1,000 on that prop.
Oh shit.
Like, so is Aaron Jeffrey the best Canadian fighter? Probably Mike. I mean, I don't know.
Mike Malott?
I think Mike. Well, we haven't seen enough of Mike Malott to know, but I think Mike Malott he might have the highest ceiling out of these guys. Jeffrey, even though he beat Vanderford, Jeffrey really, yeah, here you go, dude, saying like, and under for me. Amedovski is, I mean, Joseph Holmes, who I like, he's got a good Twitter game. Joseph Holmes is not a very good fighter. He's all right, and Joseph Holmes just starched this fool in 2 minutes. So like,
yeah.
Pfeiffer, at least, I think we know what we're going to get from him. But I think Jeffrey just hasn't proven, like, he beat Austin Vanderford. Vanderford is just coming off getting his ass kicked in a title fight. I don't like Austin Vanderford's skill set, to be completely honest.
Right.
I was really impressed with Jeffrey. I had a bet on him that night. I think Mike Malott, though, this dude looks like he could be a fucking player, man. I mean, he ended Mickey Gall's career. I'm not saying that's like a big thing, but like Mike Malott's got some serious. Jeffrey's got a decent game though, like, and he's got good cardio. Like Jeffrey's like a dog, man. He'll fight. My problem with Aaron Jeffrey is a lot of times he gets bided against the cage and kind of like he can't really escape, and he just loses minutes and rounds by inactivity. But he's not bad. He's not Johnny Parsons. He's all right.
No, also the 2 first names things that's going against him.
Well, right, and I'm not a big fan of any, unless you're a serial killer.
Right.
Unless you're famed serial killer Juran Vandersloot, aka Derek Carr on the Raiders. So Pfeiffer all day. How are you going to approach this? Are you going to have any Amedovski? And do you think there's enough dogs in this card to allow you to get to Pfeiffer? I'm curious.
I'm going to have to get to Pfeiffer. I mean, it sounds like he's going to win by first round KO. So that's going to automatic. I mean, if he does it in the quick win bonus, he could get 120 points. It's going to put him on the optimal depending on the other scores. And then I'm going to be, SOL on that one. Yeah, this is the first time that we've had a $9,700 salary since DraftKings changed their salary model and their scoring model over probably about 2 years ago. So I don't really understand this salary. I hate it. I hate it more than anything.
It makes no sense.
It makes zero sense. We have 2 salaries that we've skipped over. There is no $8,900 salary this week. There is no $9,600 salary this week. We get $9,700. I don't know why. Amedovski sucks. The only reason he's here is to set up Joey P in his first fight in the UFC. I mean, that's literally the only explanation. The guy scores 0.5 point per minute, and 6.25 is what he gives up. 20 maxes, no, I'm not rostering Amedovski at all. In 150 maxes, I guess I'll have to have a little bit in case like everything goes wrong for Pfeiffer. But if Amedovski wins, he might be the only fighter to get cut after a win, in my opinion. So that's still on the board. He has a 0% takedown defense for the record in the UFC. Yeah, I'm just not impressed. The only thing he has better than Pfeiffer is his strength of schedule. Joseph Pfeiffer beating, Ozzy Diaz. And if Ozzy Diaz's nickname isn't Man for Ozzy Mandias, then I don't know what we're even doing here.
Diaz, by the way, Ozzy Diaz is 100 times better than Amedovski.
Oh, yeah.
100 times.
Still, his nickname better be Man. That's all I got to say.
I'm going to put something on the ticker before I forget, since we're talking. I just brought up a couple people. We were talking about this last night on Wiz's show, so I just want chat to answer this question as we go forward. I'm very curious what the answers are going to be to this question.
-500.
Okay. I just want to see what chat has to say.
It better be -500. I don't. If it's not, then I don't know what we're even doing.
Okay. I made a comment last night that I said within 2 years, these two will be facing off for the title at 185.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, 2 years from now, that line may be very, very different. For sure. Long story short,
I think you know who I have in that one.
Yeah. Give me Joseph Pfeiffer to win. I'll probably be under the field right now. He was like 40% owned. I mean, the $9,600 salary has like an 8% optimal rate. It is there you go, Raw. It is 8% optimal. That's it. So what is $9,700 going to be? I think, Pfeiffer's going to win. Short of a quick win bonus, I don't think he's going to make the optimal. But that said, it's FOMO, man. I'm going to miss out if I don't put him in my lineup. So I'll probably have a 20. He's at 40%. I'll probably play 20%, something like that. I was trying to get him in like 40% of lineups last night. I just could not make that work at all. It did not work for me. If I do that, I have like one lineup with Zellhuber. I'm not getting to enough Sandhagen. I'm not getting to enough Mata. Like just can't get to enough of those guys. So I'll be fading him a little bit. Next fight, Coco main event. Andre Touchy Feely going against Bill Algeo. I'll start this one off, Lou. I'm going with your Philly guy, Bill Algeo, here for the win.
He's from King of Prussia. He's not a Philly guy. Let me just make that very clear.
Oh, that's even better. That's even for you. That's even better. King KOP, King of Prussia. And at first, I didn't even know that was a real place. I thought Prussia was the place, and there was actually like a king there. So thanks for helping me out.
It's actually like a huge business district and like tons of malls.
Oh, perfect. There we go.
Like it's not even really a residential area. That's why it's weird. I've worked in King of Prussia. Like, so I know the area really well. It's like 25 minutes from Philly.
Well, I'm going with the King of Prussia guy here, Bill Algeo. I just don't know what to think about Feely. He has not looked good recently. He is not won since June of 2020 over Charles Jourdain. He is 1-3 and with 1-3 and 1 no contest in his past 5. His strength of schedule is very good, so he's still fighting guys that are decent. He is coming off of a Joe Anderson Brito demolishing in less than a minute, and that was less than 6 months ago. That was the very end of April, so we're not even 6 months like we were talking about before, recovering from that big knockout. We're not even 6 months away from that.
And who did Brito face to fight before that?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And who picked Algeo in that fight, baby? This guy. So I'm all over Bill Algeo. I just love the way this guy fights. He's tough son of a bitch. Scores very well. Gives up a ton of points as well. But man, this guy's got a tremendous ground game. He's got decent stand up, and he should have the size advantage here a little bit over Andre Feely. Apparently, he's an inch taller, and the reach is very similar. So maybe not as much as I would think, but I am honestly on the Bill Algeo side here. I love how this guy fights, and I'm kind of not impressed with Andre Feely whatsoever lately. He's kind of giving me, and don't blow me up for this, but he's kind of giving me Cody Garbrandt vibes a little bit as of late. So I'm going to be lower on him. I love that I can get Algeo at a dog price of 8,900. I'll be well over the field on Algeo and probably under on Andre Feely. What about you? I think I know who you want to win, but are there any lineups or lines that stick out to you, rather?
Algeo plus 110 is goddamn good to me.
Hell yeah.
I just don't know. I have a bet on Algeo winning by split decision at plus 850 as well.
Nice.
I do feel like this fight goes distance probably at least 9 out of 10 times, probably more. Feely could go for takedowns. Algeo's takedown defense isn't great, but Algeo likes going on the ground. I think that's part of it. Like he doesn't fight him because he's like, I could just fight my way back up or do something on the ground. Feely's like not super impressive in top control. He's not a super impressive grappler. I'm also not super impressed with his cardio lately. Like he's fading a lot in fights. Let's put the Brito fight aside because Algeo's not knocking him out in like 30 seconds. It's just not Algeo's style.
Right.
But Algeo puts a pace on people, and I don't think Feely's going to be able to handle it. The best thing Feely can do here is stay at distance and get the leg kicks going early. If he does that, that's how he slow. I agree 100% with that comment. I feel like Algeo is starting to improve. I mean, I know where he
exactly.
trains. I know where he trains. They don't have any other UFC guys there. Let me just tell you something about this gym, okay? Because I can't name names because I talked about this last night on Wizard Show because I know the guy that trains Bill Algeo. Like I went to high school with him. Let me just say that the people that they have in this gym are badass motherfuckers. And I'm not talking, these are people that are trying to be martial arts practitioners. These are bad dudes, man. Like bad dudes. So if Algeo can the fact that Algeo came out of that, this is a tough dude. Like, again, I don't want to tell any stories out of school or to talk about anybody specifically there, but I got a buddy who trains with him or has trained with him in the past, and I've seen what he looks like afterwards. And I feel so bad for him. It's brutal. And my buddy lost a lot of weight fighting at that camp. He best thing he ever did in his life, and I'm really happy for him. So I think Algeo the later this fight goes on, and Algeo's a great live bet spot here too, because Feely, if he's going to win a round, it's going to be round 1. Again, I'm betting Algeo pre-fight. You give me plus 250, plus 300 after round 1 on Algeo. I'm all over it. The books have kind of adapted to him at this point. They've adapted to knowing that he's going to lose a lot of first rounds. So you may not get a great price, but definitely keep your eyes peeled for an Algeo live bet after round 1.
Yeah, I love
and
that.
Algeo by split decision, I think, is a super interesting look because I think he loses the first. I think he wins the third. If you get a dicey second round, who knows?
There you go. Exactly. Yeah, and like you said, Feely's just regressing a bit. I think his cardio's not where it used to be. I'm just not as impressed as I once was, to be completely honest. Let's get over to the right tab before I mess this up again. Co-main event of the evening, man. I mean, how's this one going to play out? Fun fight. This is a must roster in DraftKings. Chidi and Jukwani going against Gregory Rodriguez. Why don't you start this one off?
This would be the final leg of the under round robin that I have. Yep. I have under 2.5 here. I'm on the Chidi side. I did not think I would be on the Chidi side pre-tape, but the more I watch Rodriguez, it's, look, sometimes when we handicap these fights, we assume that fighters are going to do a certain thing. We assume Rodriguez is going to wrestle every time he goes out there, but he's not. He didn't wrestle against Marquez. It was a horrible game plan because Marquez is like, that's the last thing you really want to do is that game plan. It worked out for him. Marquez is very durable and Rodriguez looked awesome. Like, don't get me wrong. But the game plan was weird. Against Petrosian, the game plan cost him the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Or Sarukian, not Petrosian. I'm confused.
No, you were right, Petrosian.
Okay. Petrosian, Sarukian, Potato.
I know there's so many Armins.
Yeah, I mean, when he fought Armin, right. And then the Iron Turtle fight, and I love me the goddamn Iron. How do you not like one of the GOAT nicknames and fights? He did go to some grappling, but it was after he had been rocked several times. Another hilariously, I think a meme fight.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The thing is like you assume Rodriguez can do one thing. Now he's facing a guy in Chidi who his takedown defense is pretty good, very experienced, like outside the UFC.
29 fights.
And he's starting to show the death touch. Like we talked about Barrialt before. Barrialt was a tough dude that's never been finished, and Chidi just one punched him out of in the shadow realm. So can Chidi do that to Rodriguez here? 1,000,000% he can KO him. And so the under is the safe play because I do think Rodriguez has tons of finish equity. To your point, before you get into how you're going to roster this, I think you have to have both. Yep. Especially with the price of the fight.
Exactly.
You're getting a really good deal either way, I think, because whoever wins is way outperforming their salary. If it goes decision somehow, I guess Rodriguez means he probably got some grappling going. He's probably the higher scorer in a decision, I would think.
You would think.
I don't know how Chidi wins a decision. I think if he gets his game going, it's over. I think he wins by KO. And his KO prop is like over plus 200 last I looked. So for what I think is his win condition, I love it. And like I said, Rodriguez, he's been hurt in every single fight he's been in, except the Marquez fight, which is weird. Marquez just fought him. I don't know.
That was weird.
I think something might have been wrong with Marquez there. Raw's saying over 1.5 minus 130. I mean, good luck puckering your butt cheeks for 7.5 minutes. Like, I'm not having that. Like, I don't want any part of that. Under 2.5 is like minus 170. So I'll pay up a little bit just to not have to like freak out for fucking 7.5 minutes here. I mean, they both have a lot of first round finishes. Look, there's a possibility that this thing could start out slow. There could be like a respect for the power the other one has. But Rodriguez doesn't really fight like that.
Yeah, I don't see Chidi
Rodriguez had no respect for Marquez's power.
No,
he just went right up to him. I wonder, but Chidi, I like everything I see from Chidi. I think he's, look, man, he's the death touch has been working. So against a guy who I think has a suspect chin. So give me Chidi by KO, but love the under in this spot.
I agree
to
completely.
Wrap up the round robin.
I love that. I agree completely. Like you said, this is a must roster. We're getting Chidi coming off of, 2.5 minutes of fight time in 2 fights, and we get him at an underdog salary of $8,000 against Gregory Rodriguez. I think Rodriguez benefits from probably being the bigger guy in a lot of his fights. He's a 6'3" middleweight with a 75-inch reach. Here, that's not the case. Chidi is also listed at 6'3" with an 80-inch reach, scores 6.5 points a minute, 119 so far per win. Obviously, one of them is a quick win bonus. The other one was against Dusko, who I don't know who, I wish I could credit it, but someone broke down the elbow finish on Twitter the other day, and it was a beautiful breakdown. But this guy's hitting him to the body.
Dusko holds his chin in the air a lot like Rodriguez.
Yep. And he's hitting him in the body, and then so Dusko's blocking to the body, and as soon as one punch Chidi's throwing it to the body, but it's a fake because he comes down at the same exact time with that right elbow right onto the jaw of Todorovic. He didn't even see it coming.
He's got hard technique to train for. He really
does.
Dude,
so difficult.
It's very, I believe, and he shows different stuff every fight too. So I'm just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this one. I think Chidi gets it done. I think he gets it done early. I like both guys a lot. I like RoboCop here, or not here, but I like him in general. I think he's a really fun fighter to watch, and I think he's got some talent as well. But you're right. He holds his chin straight up. He's going to be at a severe reach disadvantage, which means he should be going for takedowns in this situation. Even against Chidi, you should take this guy off of his feet immediately if you can. I don't know if Rodriguez is going to do that. I think just what you said. He likes his striking a little bit too much. He does score a ton of points per minute, and he is decent strike. He's got decent takedown and control time, obviously stats as well if he gets that going. Is he going to be able to get that going against Chidi before Chidi, absolutely sends him to the shadow realm? I don't know. I'm going to be heavy on this fight. I'm not sure if this one or the main event will be my most rostered fight, but it's going to be one of these two, I'm sure. So give me Chidi for, a tiny, I guess salary relief's out of the question. It's 82 and 8,000. So who really gives a crap? But these guys in their past 6 fights, 4 times they've made the optimal lineup, and one of their opponents has made the optimal. So 5 people have made optimal lineup in these guys' past 6 fights. I think the other one must have been Petrosian made it with a very low score against Rodriguez somehow. That's just how the card shaked out. But I love the Chidi side. I'm excited for this fight. I cannot wait to see what happens. And if Chidi can get this one done inside the distance as well, this guy's going to be a real fucking problem in this division. So, I think personally he already is a real problem. But if he's going to finish Gregory Rodriguez inside the distance, even inside the first round, this guy is a problem. So I'm super excited.
This is a statement win in his portfolio if he can get it.
100%. So roster this fight, guys. Roster this fight for sure. And with that, we will finish up with the main event of the evening. I'll start this one off. Corey Sandhagen, Song Yadong. At first, when this fight was first announced on this card, I'm thinking, oh my God, Song Yadong, $7,000. Like, I'm going to put him in every fucking lineup pretty much. And I'll have Sandhagen just fill out the rest. But as the week has gone on here, I think I'm firmly on the Sandhagen side. Almost 4 points a minute, 105 when he wins. Song Yadong scores very, very well. He's a great, great striker. Only 24 years old. Let's not forget that. He does have a ton of experience. What is this? 7 and 19 is what? 26 total fights. So he's had 10 of them in the UFC so far. He's 8-1-1, and the guy's not even 25 years old. That is something that should be admired for sure. Before we get into anything else, the strength of schedule for these two guys is fantastic, well over 75. Sandhagen, however, needs a win here. He is 2-3 in his last 5, but the guys he's lost to are all champions or former champions. Sterling, Dillashaw, Peter Yan. He smashed. Everyone knows what happened against Frankie Edgar. He head kicked Marlon. I believe that was a head kick against Marlon Moraes. I don't remember off the top of my head. Who Song Yadong also just murdered in the first round. Yadong looking great too. Wins over someone named Chito Vera. Ever heard of him? Casey Kenny, Julio Arce, and like I said, Marlon Moraes. What's up, Mushroom? Glad you can be here. Sorry we couldn't start late, my guy. But we do love to see you here. My soft bacon partner. Let's go, baby.
Motherfuckers.
Soft bacon for life, son. Let's get it. But yeah, Sandhagen, striking battles like this, 5-round striking battles have done very well lately, scoring wise. The winner and the loser, in fact, we're getting stacks out of these fights. We're getting the winner making the optimal lineup like Chito Vera. Tons of guys that I obviously can't think of off the top of my head to give you more examples. But this is the case. 2 guys, 2 heavy strikers. If there is any ground game in this fight, I think it's going to be coming from Corey Sandhagen. It's not going to come from Song Yadong. I'd be shocked if Song has been training any of that, with Uriah Faber and them over at American Top Team. But yeah, I love Sandhagen here. I love the output. I hope he still has that confidence, because honestly, being 2-3 and losing those fights to Sterling, Dillashaw, and Yan is nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, the Yan fight was very, very, very close, and he was $7,400 in that fight. The Dillashaw fight, a lot of people think Sandhagen won that fight. Again, very, very close, and he got smashed, subbed by Sterling in the first round. That's his only egregious loss. Other than that, he's held himself to very good account these past 4 fights. So give me Sandhagen. $9,200 I think is a bit high, but I mean, I'm going to lower my exposure on Pyfer, and Sandhagen's probably going to be my highest owned fighter, maybe around 50% this week, to be quite honest. So I love this fight. I think Sandhagen gets it done, whether it's by decision, I think he scores well, or inside the distance. So give me Sandhagen. I'm a fan of Song Yadong as well, so hopefully this won't set him back too much if he does lose. But if he does win here, I mean, we've got a $7,000 fighter that's probably going to make the optimal lineup in a 5-round fight. So give me a ton of this fight. How are you looking to bet this soft bacon round 5?
Hold on, I took a screenshot of it. I just want to post this real quick. Soft bacon round 5. All right, I got that up on. I don't have a bet on this fight yet, and I don't know what to do. But right? I'll tell you what I'm leaning. I know that doesn't seem like the play here. I'm leaning fight doesn't go at even money, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
On the Sandhagen side, look, man, you very nice breakdown by you. I don't have much to add to it. I did want to say that Sandhagen does have some sneaky grappling upside. He hasn't been using it against like Jan. He couldn't get it going.
Yep.
But he has some sneaky grappling upside, and we haven't really seen Song Yadong tested heavily by the grappling. We also haven't seen Song
Tyler
Yadong.
Phillips was his only test, and he lost that fight. Got taken down 3 times.
And we haven't seen Song Yadong in a 5-round fight, so there's a cardio issue there. On the other side, Yadong has been putting up muscle. His training he's been training. I forget where he moved, but he's been his top team maybe. I don't know, but he's been.
Is he not with Uriah Faber anymore?
Maybe he is. I forget, but I think that Song has never been to a 4 or 5 round. I know he has. He hasn't been in a fucking 5-round fight.
Yep.
But you look at his wins, like the Moraes win, the Moraes KO. Look, man, Moraes is a shot fighter at that point. But the Julio Arce knockout is impressive because Arce
was nice.
Because Arce's pretty durable, and Arce should have had the striking advantage here. So, do I think he can get Sandhagen out of there? I think he has more power than Jan. He's not as technical as Jan.
Yeah,
he's not going to have the volume, but I think he has more power. At the same time, I think Sandhagen's live for a submission. I really do.
Ooh.
And Wiz and I were talking about this too. Like,
is this plus 1,000?
It's kind of highly priced. I don't know I don't think it's plus. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Maybe it dropped. This was from yesterday.
But Sandhagen's an interest. But the thing is so for the show, for the pick, I'm going to say Sandhagen with the experience. But I think Song's live for a KO. And the thing is they both have finish equity and they both have decision equity. So I'm really kind of not on one side here or the other for a bet. And I mean, like, I think the price for Song, I think the line's about right. So I don't really want to touch it either way. But
yeah,
I do think, not only that, but like, look, by the time this fight happens, it's going to be around 10 o'clock Eastern. I'll be fucking hammered, most likely, at my buddy's house watching this. So at this point, like, I just want to have a bet, but I don't have to think about.
Yes.
I just want to have a bet where I'm like, fuck it. Just somebody die. Somebody hit somebody. Die. Like, so not the most technical breakdown of this card, but I don't think you're getting value on Sandhagen at his price. Look, if Song Yadong gets to plus 200, maybe higher.
Choof.
I don't know. Maybe at that point, maybe you have to take the shot. If you're going to bet any side, it has to be Yadong just for the price.
Right.
But I don't think, I really do think Sandhagen's so much better here. Like, everywhere except the power. I think he's better everywhere else. So we'll see. I'm leaning toward the fight doesn't go. I just don't want to be like I'm very under heavy on this card. So like,
same.
I don't want to be like super, but, and I think to your point for DK, I mean, if Yadong wins, forget it, but his ownership's going to be very high here.
These guys are both at like 40% earlier.
That sounds about right. I mean,
yeah.
Because I mean, look, you look at the fight doesn't go, and even like, so what does Song Yadong get in a decision? He could probably get you 45 points in a decision loss. He might get you 50. So he can almost pay that salary off in a decision loss.
Right.
So I get it. But I don't know, Sandhagen needs domination, really. Like, he might need to land 180 strikes, 200 strikes in a decision win. So
which could happen. 169.
I think you have to have. I think you have to have some of both here. I mean, it's a main event too. Like obviously, you have to have some of both. But I would consider going for me. I might be under the field on Sandhagen. I don't know that I can get to 40% on Yadong. I think there's too many guys.
Yeah, that's too much.
I think there's too many guys at his salary range, like Nascimento, like Kosei, that have first round finish potential.
Exactly.
Like I don't think I need to get to Song Yadong, and I don't need to play him and two of these other guys. Like I don't need to. Like I don't think I need salary relief here. And the thing is this, Gomes at whatever she is, what 6,600, 6,700,
or no 67. Yeah, 67.
I mean, I don't know that I'm going to get to her either. But I think she has the better chance to win, and I think she has the takedown upside to actually maybe 10x her salary more than Song Yadong. But I don't really want any part of her in a lineup. Not on this card. Maybe last week. Last week she would have been nice with all those like 9,800. Like all like the really high equity guys like Almeida and Khamzat would have been nice having that salary relief there, but.
Yeah, it would have been because it was Almeida, Khamzat, and then 4 underdogs that made optimal. So that was it. Yeah. Yeah, but there were a ton of dogs.
I mean, Diaz was much roster.
Well, Diaz didn't make it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was a very, very odd card.
What was the optimal lineup?
I can check very easily.
Nah, don't worry, Beth.
No, Khamzat, Almeida, Tululin, who I was all over, Johnny Walker, Tululin, Johnny Walker, Juicy J, and Chris Barnett was the slate breaker there.
Damn.
Yeah, Computer Monk's picking 9 finishes this week, so tons of finishes.
I know these guys, like these guys aren't privy to like the company group chat, but all I typed in our group chat as soon as that fight happened was LOL. And I wrote, I wrote to you, Brady, and Weezy. I'm like, you guys might read this in 2 days. You're gonna know the exact goddamn moment. You're gonna know the moment I'm talking about when you read this. And
the Weezy, moment for me was when
I think Weezy just saw it like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and he's like, I knew the goddamn moment he was talking about.
Yeah, the moment is when Jake Collier goes for that takedown and just lays face down, ass up on the ground. That's the moment.
I will say that last week on the show, I made it very clear. There's no world I'm ever betting on Jamie Pickett. Ever.
No.
Brutal.
No.
He's brutal.
He's so bad, dude. So freaking bad. I should have taken my own advice and rostered more of Tululin. In fact, if I would have put Tululin in my Pub Sports Radio lineup, I would have smashed these other dudes. But of course, I picked Johan Lanace instead. What an idiot. That's 100 point swing, pretty much.
He still won, though.
He won. He didn't even score 40 points. He scored less than 10 points before the 30-point bonus. That is a fucking brutal win there. So anyways, Lou, I think we broke this one down super nice. You guys in the chat should know exactly how to play it. Check out my game theory videos this week. Check out Salary Voodoo. Odds on Optimal's out. Lou has props to bet and maybe consider. We got the Pub Sports Radio show that we did on Wednesday.
Props to consider
and maybe bet. Well, maybe you should switch it. Just bet the props. Consider them afterwards.
I bet all the props. I did. I bet all of them already.
So yeah, let's exactly mushroom. Exactly.
Why did I take this job?
Oh, because of comments like that. Juicy. Yeah, exactly. I was ever since Dave Chappelle called Jussie Smollett Juicy Smollett, I can't not see that and not say juicy. So sorry if that's mean, but I don't mean it like that. Anyways, Lou, what else have you got to promote? I just read off a bunch of shit that people can go check out before the fights tomorrow night. What else have you got?
So yesterday I did the show with Eric. I also did an interview show with Wiz. We went way too long, but really just talking about general. I was telling stories. I was doing some weird shit on there. We were getting fucked up. It's a lot of fun, but I talk a little bit about like the formation of the company, what's coming up, and like some other weird stories about like how I am like my connection to Bill Algeo like through all this, which is weird. But we have an off week next week.
Yes, we do.
We have no fights. We have Contender Series, but we don't have a show. We don't have no fights. So I'm really hoping that this next week coming up, I will just be coding like a motherfucker, trying to finish off some stuff for the company that time and unfortunately my health had gotten in the way of. I am now 120%. I got, as Tony G that plays poker would say, I got the big hat. The big hat. So everybody, good luck to you on your bets.
Yep.
Lou Betya at Twitter. I'm always accessible. Like Mushroom hits me up and asks me for fucking parlays like every weekend, and he thinks he's bothering me, and I'm like, you never bother me, dude. Like you guys like have questions about stuff, or just like I'm not a pro.
Sure.
I'm not a pro compared to anybody else, but like you just want a second set of eyes or ears on something, hit me up, man. Like I have access to like fucking a community of geniuses. I could just copy everything they fucking say, or I'll just ask John Sargarian what the answer is.
Yeah, there you go.
Ask my buddy John what to do.
Exactly. So
I'm not going on the mushroom. If I go on the mushroom diet, I will not make it to 2 weeks from now. I will be dead. So
you reminds me of
shout out to known conspiracy theorist John Stargarian.
Yeah, John Stargarian. Yeah, for sure.
Well,
that is gonna do it, guys. We covered all 13 fights since Aspen Ladd couldn't manage to be professional yet again. So we have 13 fights. Good luck on your fights. Get all your study in, get all your lines in, get all your picks in and your lineups in here before tomorrow night's card. I guess that's all that's left to do is give you the old outro. So without further ado, guys, I hope you all enjoy the fight. So enjoy, and we will see you next time. Have a good one.